Buff Nation. You know it's that time. It's hate week, baby. Nebraska, we're going up against the Corn. It's time to shut that corn. You know we're going to get into all the keys to victory today. As man, we haven't lost to this team since the Obama administration. And it wasn't the second term either. It was the first term. And it's time we continue this win streak on against the Nebraska Cornhuskers this Saturday at 5:30 Mountain Time in Lincoln, Nebraska. Are you guys pumped for it? Let me know in the comments. But we're going to dive into everything CU needs to do in order to get the victory, extend this streak. We've won the last three matchups. I think we're set to do it a fourth time. Rightfully so. We should be an underdog, and I think we're going to play better in this matchup. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and break it down, guys. How are you guys doing tonight? Be sure to smash that like and subscribe. After you comment, let me know who's in the chat. How are you feeling about this matchup against the Nebraska Cornhuskers this Saturday? I can't tell you. I can't put it into words how excited I am for this game. This is the biggest game of the year. This is the game that means the most to me, to Buff Nation. In some sense, who cares what happens the rest of this year? As long as we beat Nebraska, it's a great year. It's a great year, and it's a shame that we don't play again, at least right now, until 2031. We better get this whole thing worked out. But, guys, I'm really pumped. I got 7 keys to victory for the Buffs that we're going to talk about. And I'm going to talk a little bit about Nebraska's personnel on both offense and defense. I've had a chance to watch. I didn't watch their game twice or anything like that, but I did watch a condensed game that they played against UTEP earlier today, and I got some thoughts on that. So very excited about all this. And one other housekeeping item, I am going to be on Corn Crazed tomorrow, late afternoon. I got to make sure I confirm the time with him, but he's a awesome Nebraska Cornhuskers fan, YouTuber. It's got, I think, 22,000 subscribers. So it really means a lot that he would have me on the channel to talk about this matchup. So it does mean a lot. But hey, guys, let's go ahead and get into it. I'm going to share my screen. And if you guys are needing some context, let's check this thing out. All right. Yeah, here we are. So if you're wondering where we've been over the last handful of years with Nebraska, this is our second home and home that we've had since leaving the Big 12 before returning, right? 2018, 2019, 2023, they were all wins. The first couple matchups in 2018 and 2019 were very, very close. They were comeback wins, massive comeback wins for the Buffs. At the very least, go watch the highlights. They were unreal. And we got a win in 2018 in Lincoln, Nebraska, and then got an overtime win in Boulder in 2019. These were also the years that I was here as a graduate student at CU, and that was really special. But last year, obviously, we beat the brakes off of Nebraska. Now they do have a quarterback now that is able to hold on to the football and throw the football forward, the forward pass, something that they weren't able to do last year. So I think that this will be a much closer game. We're going into a very tough environment, one of the toughest environments, in my opinion, in all of college football. And I think the Buffs are going to get the win, man. I think the Buffs are going to get the win. And let's go ahead and get into some of my reasons why. Whoa, did not want that to stay. Okay. First off, let's talk about the defensive line. The defensive line needs to shine. They're going to come in running the ball. Now, they were most successful in terms of the yardage when they were running off tackle. That's going to be a little bit different than what I believe we saw with North Dakota State. They were also very option heavy. I don't think you're going to see a ton of option from Nebraska. They want to keep their quarterback a little bit more upright. But all that to say, I think our front four can have a better time, especially after going up against North Dakota State in preparation for this. We're facing another run-heavy team with very big, strong offensive linemen, but I do not think that these linemen are perfect. We should be able to create disruption in the run game, in the pass game. That is my expectation for this defensive line. Looking at the tape, watching the game again, just a couple days ago, I came away more and more impressed, and especially with the interior defensive line against North Dakota State. They're going to have to be better, even better this game against North Dakota. But if we're talking about the run game performance, guys, of course, Chidozie Nwankwo was leading the way with run defense grade. You know who was right behind him there on the defensive line? It was none other than Shane Cokes. My man Rawhide, I think we're going to do a show tomorrow. But, man, he was right about a couple things all offseason long. One, Shane Cokes was going to start. Number two, Jimmy Horn was going to eat this year. And he's off to a good start with those predictions. But I think, hey, we saw how Deion Hayes, Arden Walker, BJ Green, these guys were handling the edges, setting the edge. I think that this could be a matchup in where their skills are highlighted more. Their talent is more highlighted in this matchup. What's going on, Northside? Hope you're doing well, man. Are you excited for this game? Now, I guess I could bring this up as well. I always find this stuff to be pretty cool. Give me 1 second. I always find this stuff to be like pretty cool. So this was Nebraska against UTEP this past weekend. You can see in there, let me fix this a little bit. See, again, man, they ran for an insane amount of yardage. That running back number 21 that they got, very quick, speedy guy. I could see him giving us some trouble, especially if he's getting into some one-on-one matchups with our linebackers. Maybe this is a game in which we see a little bit more of Jalen Wester if they choose to go that route. Nebraska, that is, in the passing game. But you can see running behind the left guard, they're averaging 23 yards a carry, which is just absolutely insane. Left tackle, running off the left tackle, and the right tackle is where they also had great yards per carry, 9.2, 5.0. Didn't run as much in those A gaps. But again, that could totally change with the game plan. Maybe they feel like they're able to do that, but I would assume that we have a more stout. This is crazy talking about this. I know the standard's kind of low, like coming into this year, but we got a more stout D line than the UTEP Miners do, like no doubt. Okay, so it's going to be interesting to see how they choose to establish the run game. I think that they're going to have a tougher time against UTEP or against us than UTEP. Again, that's not saying much though, but I thought looking at the rushing by direction, all of this was very, very interesting. Had a lot of success running off of off tackle. So at least those spots. So that's going to be really interesting. They really tried when they were going wide, like off this left end, like this at this like 9 tech, I guess. 9 rushes, 19 yards. We'll see if they choose to still try and kind of stretch us out wide. But again, I feel like it's in Nebraska's favor to kind of run it straight forward, run it up the middle. We'll have to see, though. That number 21 is somebody to keep an eye on. But I really do feel like the defensive line has an opportunity to shine. And I also want to get into their pass protection a little bit. I can't remember the name of their starting left tackle that went down with an injury in the preseason or fall camp, but This is the left tackle that we're going to be facing this week, and this is Turner Corcoran, 6'6", 310 pounds. So he looks the part. He is a senior. He's been here for quite a while, since 2020, and I mean has played a significant amount of snaps in college football, over 1,000 snaps, and he's somebody that I do feel like is vulnerable in this offensive line. The left tackle position, they're going to be going up against B.J. Green, Deion Hayes, Taj McCoy. I think this could be a game for Taj McCoy to really stand out, but throwing some different edges at him early, I think, is going to be really key to just try and figure out who's going to be able to expose this matchup. I think we have a plethora of edges with some different skill sets, and I think that will serve us well in this matchup against Turner Corcoran. Did have 65.2 pass blocking grade this week against UTEP, which is good. That's how he should perform. But as you can see throughout his career, the results have been very concerning. When you look at what he did in 2023, 165. Oh, and this is just pass snaps. Sorry. So he's probably played well over maybe even 2,000 snaps with running the ball as well. But in terms of his pass sets, in 2023, 165 passes, 3 penalties. The year before that, 6, and then another 6. This was, these blocking grades right here kind of remind me of, man, why can't I remember his name? The guy that I felt like had arthritic knees on our team last year. Who was that guy? He came in for a little bit against UCLA, and he just looked terrible. Yeah, we put an injured Jerry Christian Lichtenhand back in there, I think, with how bad he was. Guys, come on, try and remind me, who was that really bad left tackle that we had last year? Let me know in the comments. But I think that this is a matchup that we have potential to exploit with our edges. Again, Deion Hayes was one of the most impressive guys. If you haven't caught my video that I posted, I think yesterday or Sunday, on Arden Walker, limited snaps, but a 25% win rate on his pass rushes. Are you kidding me? I want to see a little bit more of Arden Walker this week. And I think what's very exciting is that now that Nebraska not only has a quarterback with a heartbeat, but they got a quarterback that they legitimately can win with, I think it's going to be a lot of fun to see how our defense performs in these passing situations that Nebraska's offense is going to put us in. I think we have a chance to really disrupt the pocket. You look at what Dylan Raiola was throwing from this past weekend, it reminded me a lot of that Zach Wilson tape at BYU, just able to sit in the pocket, able to move around just a little bit, and then he's just able to fire off absolute darts. But from what I saw, he was very comfortable, like 80, 90% of the time. We need to disrupt him more. So that is key number one, is that the D-line absolutely needs to shine. We have our work cut out for us against, I think, a very well-coached Nebraska team, but I think we got the guys to exploit this matchup, make some noise, and again, I think do enough to get the victory from this standpoint. So let's talk about our matchup against the Nebraska defense. Of course, they got Robinson, Hutchmacher, 2 absolutely massive individuals on the defensive line that wreaked havoc on our porous offensive line last year. I think Shedeur was sacked 7 times, hit like 15. It was absolutely insane. But you just give Shedeur some time, and he's still able to carve up that defense. But now we have the luxury, in my opinion, of being able to establish a run game. Now, it might not be the prettiest run game, but I think one thing that can help us that we didn't see against North Dakota State are going to be jet sweeps. This is a team in which we need to make them feel our speed in all aspects of defending us, not just vertically, but also sideline to sideline. And if we're struggling with establishing a consistent running game, or heck, if we've established a good average running game, I think jet sweeps, they're something that can be integrated into this week's game plan, where that's really going to stretch this Nebraska defense. I think it is going to be very difficult to run between the tackles against this team. Again, they have massive individuals. I think there was a commenter, I'm trying to remember his name, maybe it was Anthony, in one of my other videos. He said, hey, let's get these big boys tired out. Absolutely. Let's not have them go north-south where they're not having to move much. Let's test the speed of this defense. Let's test their discipline, being able to communicate pre-snap on motions, understanding their responsibilities, right? Let's make this defense make more decisions pre-snap. That's going to then lead to broken coverages to where we're able to take advantage of that, right? We need them to be able to feel and account for the threat of a Draylon Miller taking a jet sweep, a LeJontay Wester taking a jet sweep, a Jimmy Horn who has that speed that I just feel like he's got another gear. Maybe it really was that hamstring kind of holding him back a little bit with his top end speed. I mean, I just felt like it was on a whole nother level that we saw last week. I would love for us to incorporate some of these jet sweeps. And you can even use them as feints, fake action, stuff like that to open up holes in the offensive line for our running backs to run through, or you can run play action off of them. I think that, again, I do believe that Pat Shurmur as well as Robert Livingston, they were just saying, hey, we're going to play vanilla on both sides of the ball. We're not really going to show much, and we're going to count on our difference in talent, our better talent, to be the difference in us getting the victory, and it was. Now we got to be a little bit more creative, a little bit more thoughtful, nuanced, crafty. Jet sweeps. I want to see that. Let's do it. All right. Now let's get to some other keys. These will be some quick ones. Wasn't this wonderful, guys? Win the penalty battle. We had 3 penalties for 30 yards, I think, this past week. I think that is a Coach Prime Buffalo's era low for us. This team was much more disciplined when it came to that aspect. You had no illegal procedures or anything like that on offense. There were some times where Shedeur was a little late getting the snap off, and you know what? Again, why I didn't give Coach Prime an F for the game management is because he called those timeouts when the play clock was running down. Credit to him for doing that, because he wasn't always consistent with that last year. It was great to see him do that, keep us in advantageous situations on offense, not shooting ourselves in the back, anything like that. We need to win the penalty battle this year. I believe we won it last year against Nebraska, but don't take that as fact. I do remember that there were some penalties that we were able to bait them into, and my hope is that we can do that again. I want to see that happen. This needs to be a disciplined team if we're going to go into Lincoln, Nebraska and get this victory. So encouraged by the fact that we won this battle against a very well-coached team program. It's in their DNA. In North Dakota State, they don't beat themselves. And we won. We won the penalty battle against them. Now, one thing which we did not win against them was the turnover battle. And I think that this is going to be something that we're going to have to win. We are facing a true freshman quarterback. He is getting his first true test in major college football this weekend. Robert Livingston and this defensive line need to make his life hell in the pocket and with what he's seeing coverage-wise. I think that we can create some moments in which we're forcing some turnovers and scoring off of them. I
I think that's going to be a key. If we could even do that in the first half and get out to a victory, not a victory, a large lead, that would be fantastic. But this is something, again, it's probably going to be a key for me throughout this whole season. We gotta win the turnover battle, baby. Maybe this is the first time where Travis Hunter gets an interception this year. I think Dylan Raiola, really promising quarterback. I wonder if he'll test Travis Hunter. It's going to be interesting to see. And I do think it seems like all signs are, good for Cameron Silman Craig to play this week. If we can have a fully healthy defense going into this matchup, love it. Now, speaking of the secondary, let's talk about Nebraska's secondary. This was the 40th ranked secondary in all of college football last year, but take that with a huge grain of salt because they played a ton of schools that barely passed the ball at all there in the Big Ten. Shedeur was able to carve up, as you know, this Nebraska defense for like close to 400 yards, 4 TDs. I think it was just something absolutely insane. And again, I don't think that this is going to be the plan coming in, but I think we can win similarly to how we won last year. Is that the ideal way to win? Just by airing it out, dropping back, dissecting this secondary, absolutely decimating it, obliterating it, all of that. While Shedeur is taking hits, we can do it, but it's not ideal. I do think this offensive line is going to give him more time to throw, which is great. I think the 3-3-5 could serve us well, but something to keep in mind is that last year they were doing a lot of rush 3, their 3 down linemen, and drop 8. The times that they blitzed, Shedeur was able to make them pay. I clearly remember that he was very good against the blitz. So it's going to be interesting to see how Nebraska deals with Shedeur Sanders. I mean, that is the biggest factor in all of this. It's not whether we're able to establish an amazing run game or anything like that. I think it really comes down to, can we protect Shedeur? Is he going to have time to just obliterate this secondary again? Because I do feel like it's very vulnerable. You might see the score to Nebraska and UTEP and say, wow, that's a blowout. But if you've had a chance to watch any of it, there were a lot of drop passes. There were a lot of coverages in which their wide receivers were beat, but the quarterback play just wasn't there from UTEP. This is a vulnerable secondary. This is a secondary that while they are bringing in, I believe, one transfer, most of their starting secondary is the secondary that we saw last year, and it was porous. So I'll get in and share a little bit of who this starting secondary is going to be. And then I'll get to your comments after I'm done, guys, with all these keys to victory. All right. So let's go ahead. And hopefully this will load. All right. Here we go. All right. Malcolm Hartzong. This is one of their starting safeties. 5'9", 180 pounds. He's somebody, again, that's had a few years of experience now. And guys, if you didn't know this, Nebraska, all their guys were in the single digits. You have to receive a team vote to wear it. So I think that's pretty cool, if I'm honest. So that's why you see a lot of those same single digits there. It's kind of like what we've done, I feel like, with 2 in the past, even though it hasn't been like a team vote. But anyways, led the team, tied the team in 5 tackles last weekend. I think he's somebody that we're going to be able to take advantage of in 5'9", 180-pound safety. Now, let's move on. And we have Deshaun Singleton, their other safety, I believe, number 8. He was somebody that faced us last year that we tore up. Started safety first 5 games before his season-ending injury against Michigan. And yeah, one of the toughest Nebraska players. That's why he's donning a single-digit number, in this case, number 8. Now, let's take a look at their starting cornerbacks. Marquez Buford, I think that this is a guy that we can take advantage of. 5'11", 190 pounds. Had 3 tackles this past weekend. He missed this game last year while he was recovering from injury, but he did start as a sophomore. So he's coming back. I think he performed pretty well last week, but this is, again, somebody that I think is really going to be put to the test along with Tommy Hill. 205 pounds, 6-foot senior. I believe he might have transferred from another school. Yeah, maybe that was, that was way early. So, yeah, they've had all these guys. We saw Tommy Hill last year against playing against the Colorado Buffaloes in Boulder. So, again, they're returning pretty much most of their secondary that we saw last year, and that's not a good thing. That's not a good thing. And I think that we absolutely have the opportunity to torch this secondary again. Big question is, how improved is this front for Nebraska? I think the game's really honestly going to come down to that. Can we protect Shedeur, or is Nebraska going to wreak havoc on Shedeur? But if he gets more than 2.5 seconds to throw, I think it's over. I don't see how they're going to be able to contain us because they could not keep up with our speed at all last year. Tarvarj Dawson absolutely tore them up. Didn't he run a jet sweep for a touchdown, now that I'm thinking about it, as well as have that touchdown like way over the top? Forget if it was the end of the first half or the beginning of the second half. Jimmy Horn, Travis Hunter, and now we got LeJontay Wester. We got Omari Miller. We have a handful of guys. And I even think Draylon Miller's got the speed. So theoretically, we could have 5 guys on the field at once that all could just be catch it and score type of guys. We have even more speed than what we had last year. I guess you could kind of sub out Dylan Edwards with Draylon. I would like to see an expanded role for Draylon this week because of that, because of his speed. I want to see us lean into our strength, which is speed, and really make this Nebraska defense look slow. Attacking the secondary with our speed, good luck. Good luck. Just like beating the greats, you're going to have to get to Shedeur quickly, and it's going to have to be through mainly the interior of that pocket, I think, because I think Jordan Seaton's the real deal. We're going to find out. And right tackle, still a huge question mark to me. But again, thought we did a fine job mitigating the risks there with whoever we throw there at right tackle. And most offensive lines have to deal with the right tackle being their weakest spot. Something we can work around. Not ideal, but we can work around. Now, let's still talk about the offense. That 17-play, 8-minute drive in the second half, masterclass from Pat Shurmur. And we saw, in some of my other videos I've done this week, the distribution of the passing, the throws, the concepts, everything like that. It was a great, unpredictable distribution. Let's have a couple methodical drives like that this game against Nebraska. Now, I do think we need to keep, the pedal to the metal, so to speak, when it comes to this offense. Let's put the pressure on them. Always scoring with like 3-play drives, right? This is a big play offense. Shedeur likes to hold on to the ball because he likes to make those big impact throws down the field. And you got to live with kind of the consequences of that going wrong sometimes. My only thing with Shedeur is, hey, just don't put your body in harm's way, especially on those scrambles. when on those runs. Just slide, please, for your own safety. But if we can get 2 long scoring drives, I think the time of possession is going to be irrelevant as long as we get that. That is my hope. I think we were a well-conditioned team this past week. Of course, being at altitude, that really helps. But if we can sustain 2, 7, 8-minute drives, or like our time of possession, I feel like is going to be fine for the rest of the game. If we can do that, I think that's going to give the defense enough rest. Let's see what they can do. And lastly, this one is fully on Coach Prime and the coaching staff. No head-scratching game management decisions, please. We can't mess around. And I guess I'll include Shedeur as well. But we can't mess around and find out, that whole thing. We cannot do anything super questionable or head-scratching, especially in the fourth quarter when it comes to game management decisions. Hopefully this is a lesson learned from last week. I just hope, because most times you're not going to be able to get away with that. And we almost did not get away with it. I just want to see good, solid game management decisions from Coach Prime. Again, this man is so successful. He's been successful at everything he's gone out to do. If you're telling me he cannot get better in this, I don't believe that at all. He totally can. Let's see it start this week, along with the team continuing to be disciplined and winning that penalty battle and turnover battle this week against Nebraska. So, in summary, here are my 7 keys in no particular order. Jet sweeps, let them feel the speed, baby. Win the penalty battle. Win the turnover battle. Attack this secondary where Shedeur is already in their heads, man. He's already caused PTSD. No head scratching game management decisions from the coaching staff. The D-line needs to shine. I think that there's a matchup we can take advantage of specifically with their backup left tackle. And lastly, let's sustain a couple long scoring drives to really hammer home the point that, hey, we can score at will, but we can also dissect you slowly. So thank you guys so much for listening. I'm going to get to some of your comments. Hope you guys are having a wonderful week. This is one of the best weeks of the entire season. I love it. All right, transforming, saying first game nerves are gone. Yes. And, man, it was such a good game last Thursday. It was such a good game. I might even go back and watch it a third time, but it was great to see guys like Jimmy Horn, LaJohntay Wester, right? Really have their moments. Of course, Travis Hunter. You can't take him for granted. You just have to be pumped that we get a chance to see who might be the top 1 and 2 picks in the NFL draft. Insane. Play for our school every weekend. Cherish this time, y'all. That's why, man, especially when we're getting victories with them, regardless of how it's done, enjoy it. Enjoy it in the moment. Check all the expectations at the door once the game starts and enjoy the game for whatever it is. We got a whole week, to talk about dissecting all the concerns, all the pros, cons, all of that. Sometimes, man, it just frustrates me how just pissed off, man, people can get even when we win. I think it's funny. But anyway, Domesticoles G. Facts, interior, D-line, and edges to pressure Raiola will be really important. Yes, he needs to have his welcome to big-time college football moment this week. Northside, I'm nervous about this game. Man, I'm nervous about it too. This is a good team. And you can say what you want about their schedule. They play who they play. I think they very well could be a 10-win team, even if they lose to us this week. They are a very good team. And you see that from Matt Rule. Usually in year 2, you see that jump. Dylan Raiola, he looked great. He looked great, and we got our work cut out. It's going to be very exciting to see how our team steps up, and I think they will. I think the Buffs get this thing done. Yeah. I always get those nerves too before every game. It's just a lot of fun. Hey, QB Spotlight, Steven, I need to text you back. As you can see, getting all settled in. I gotta like hang up some things here in the background. My banners, my pennants, but even got the degree out. From CU over here. I thought that was kind of cool. Uh, wanted to showcase that for you guys because it's like one of the things I'm most proud about. And Frank Ocean poster, got the Broncos hat over here, that I put on when I'm happy with the Broncos. But and I'm gonna switch out the records right now. I got like I can't really see it. It's Good Kid, Mad City. All right, but thank you. Glad I got the hat. I know Waterboy's gonna be pumped that I got it. We gotta we gotta rattle Dylan Ravioli early and win the trenches to get the W. Yes, make him look not like Patrick Mahomes, but like Patrick Mahomes, fake Patrick Mahomes, Patrick Mahomes. That's what I'm talking about. Our O line, man, we definitely got their hands full. We're gonna have to play better than how we played against North Dakota State, no doubt about it. But hey, but again, guys, offensive lines can improve throughout the season. Ours was kind of a weird case last year where they actually like were bad and then they got really bad by the end of the season. That normally doesn't happen. Phil Woldholt is competent. We didn't have somebody who was competent coaching that group. I don't think people in the offensive line group really respected that guy. And how can you when he's recruiting 280-pound guards to play for us? Out of there. Shirley, how are you doing? Thank you for the support. Always appreciate you in the chat. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, exactly. Demisticoles G. We beat most of these guys last year. Yes. Yes. They're returning a lot of their same players. Now, one thing that I didn't touch on that I'm sure I'm going to talk about with Corn Craze tomorrow. Again, that's going to be a lot of fun. He's having me on his channel. He's got like over 20,000 subs. So that's going to be a lot of fun. But their receivers, I think that's one of their most improved position groups this year. So seeing our secondary go up against their wide receivers is going to be a lot of fun to watch. No way. Buford played for Prime in high school. Man, Grizz. Well, then we're definitely going to have to just go after him again, man. And thank you for confirming this with me. We ran a jet sweep with Tarveris Dawson in the third quarter last year. He had 2 touchdowns. I wanted to see more of him throughout the year. Where did he end up? I think he's a really good receiver. So, yes. Yeah, we can't mess around. No fourth down on our own 35-yard line. No. Northside saying you want a 5-2-4. Very interesting. And I guess it really does depend on what type of look Nebraska's going to come out with. Because if they are only coming out with a couple wide receivers, we might be able to run only 4 secondary guys out there. That could be advantageous for us. And again, in a different way, I think it's advantageous for Nebraska in a sense that they might benefit more from 4-man rushes as opposed to 3. Is that going to make a difference with Shedeur's time? That's really the big question to what's going to lead to the outcome of this game. We need to win the time of possession. Yes, 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 yes. You do it with a couple long drives. Especially, well, it would be great if we could force Raiola to some 3 and outs. That would be awesome. Surfer Boy, I'm sticking by my prediction. I don't change my record predictions, but this is what I'm going to say, guys. If you didn't know this, went to University of Colorado for my MBA for grad school. Absolutely incredible experience. I went to Abilene Christian for undergrad for my bachelor's, and I love my ACU Wildcats, but I'm going to be real about this, man. They were a bad football team last year and a bad FCS conference losing record. And the fact that their quarterback, or the Wildcats quarterback, was able to tear up Texas Tech for over 500 yards. This is a guy who was like 3rd on the depth chart at Texas Tech a couple of years ago, coming out to ACU. The fact that they took the Texas Tech Raiders to overtime, mind-blowing. I am way less concerned about us going into Lubbock and getting the victory, when you're not only, this isn't a good FCS team. Granted, I do think they'll be better this year. But when you're looking at last year, I mean, this is a bad FCS team that you just let come in and score 51 on you and was a 2-point conversion away at the end of overtime from getting that upset. I'm no longer worried about going to Lubbock. No, none at all. Now, am I a little bit more worried about maybe Oklahoma State than I was? Maybe. But I still believe that this defense is going to get better over time. But Texas Tech, man, not worried about that at all. Not worried about that at all. We'll have to see if they look any better. But that was probably the worst performance from any Big 12 team this week, was the showing that Texas Tech put out, winning 52-51 in overtime with FCS Abilene Christian. Terrible. Paris Pambleton. Loved Boulder Dave. But is there a no passing rule on CU's campus? I was trying to stroll and people would not go the F around. Oh, man. And people would not go the F around. Yeah, I don't know. So if you've noticed, Paris, depending on what time of day you were there, sometimes there's like dedicated lanes there on campus on the sidewalks for bikes so people don't walk over there, or yeah, depending on where you're walking, man. Yeah, I don't really know, but at least when I was on campus there every day, I never seemed to have an issue with walking around. But I know it was always more crowded, on game day. But yeah, I don't know. I wish I could answer that a little bit more detailed for you. But glad you had a good time. It was a great weekend in Boulder, from what I saw. Wish I could have been there, but life is moving into its next chapter. It's going to be great. Old school, great to see you as well. Hope you're doing, great. Yes, Dave, I agree, but we have a very good team also. Yes, this is a team. Again, we haven't lost to this team since the first term of Obama's administration. We can't let that change now. We're not going to let 100,000 fans get in the way of us accomplishing what needs to be done, and that's us being able to say in 2031, y'all haven't beat us in what? 10,000 days, something like that. That's what needs to happen. All right, what else we got here? Doctor, good to see you. Sco Buffs, Dolores, great to see you as well. Yes, here in the 210, San Antonio, Texas. That is now home. So I know I have a pretty decent fan base, I guess, or subscriber base here from San Antonio. So if you ever see me around, come and say hi. Be great to meet y'all. Yeah, Dante saying Shiloh's a good and trustworthy tackler. I don't get the bad rap he gets as a player. I think when you're looking at just playing, the play on the field, the tackling, I think, is fine. The coverage is fine. Like, I think Shiloh is one of our best players on the team. The thing I think that gives him a bad rap is sometimes, in the few times where he's beat, hasn't had good form, so that sticks out. And then also, it's just the dumbass penalties. He takes some terrible penalties to where, again, we're lucky that personal foul that he had, that late hit after that incomplete pass against North Dakota State, it depends on what type of referee crew you get. That could have been reviewed as targeting or whatever. Not that I agree with that, but you see how crazy up and down those rulings are made. Shiloh puts himself in those positions way too often than what he should be doing. I want to see him just play a little bit more reserved when it comes to that aspect. You don't always need to just destroy the guy after the whistle. I know it's a little bit easier said than done, though. I mean, these guys are running at full speed. I guess I'm more like the north part, but yeah, like all the things aren't too far away. The Pearl. What are we talking about? downtown. The airport feels like 10 minutes away. The quarry's 10 minutes away. Yeah, Harbinger Park, not too far away. So, yeah. Anyways, yeah, it's been great. I've liked that we've been getting some rain here, but yeah, still settling in to this new space. But it's been awesome. Northside, we gotta disagree on this, man. Arden Walker not good at playing edge, dude. I want to see Tristan Morois with that speed. A very interesting take. I thought he had a good game. I did a video. I thought he had a pretty good game. I mean, I think we only saw him in like 11 snaps or so in the game, but you can't ignore a 25% pass rush win rate. I mean, I thought that was really good. Um, and I thought that he was also pretty serviceable against the run. If I remember correctly, he was still one of our highest rated defenders against the run. So um, I mean, he's not twitchy. He's not twitchy like Taj McCoy, for instance. He's not that type of edge that's going to be making all these flashy moves. But, um, you know, if you know, you know. He's solid. JJ Stallworth, excellent. Number 2 key. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm not sure which one that was. Win the penalty battle or D-line needs to shine. What did I talk about second? Jet sweeps. So I talked about second when I opened this up. Make them feel our speed. Like, let's not fall into the trap of feeling like we need to play Nebraska Cornhuskers style football to win this game just because we're going into Lincoln. No. But we got to play better than how we played against them last year in some aspects, and we got to play better than how we played against North Dakota State this past week in some aspects to beat them. But I think it really does come down to make them feel our speed, baby. Thank you, Dolores. I got to get out to Houston at some point to, have some barbecue. Colorado's barbecue game, man. So I never checked out Arden Walker's dad's spot, to be fair, but Colorado's just not known for barbecue. I got to get out too, right? The barbecue capital of Texas. It's got to be Houston. Am I putting people on the spot? But I've already had barbacoa out here. That's been awesome. Really missed that. There were some spots out by where I lived in Colorado that did barbacoa, but it just wasn't it. Just wasn't it. I might have to start up a barbacoa review channel just for the barbacoa out here. Dante wants to see Micah. I'd like to see him too. I want to see, Gustav, I'm trying to pronounce his name correctly, from Arkansas. We didn't really see much of him. I know he got a couple carries, if I remember correctly, maybe 3 or 4, but didn't do anything. I think Michael Welsh has got to be that guy. Or not Michael Welsh, Dallin Hayden, but Michael Welsh, maybe we see a little bit more from him this week. Again, I didn't expect us to open up against North Dakota State, having the first 2 plays of the script going to Draylon Miller. What did he get, like 4 touches in the game? I was very surprised about that. So who's to say we can't get Michael Welsh some touches earlier on? It's going to be interesting to see what Pat Shurmur has dialed up script-wise in that first quarter for the Buffs, no doubt. Yeah, I think so, Perez. Sorry, I'm just laughing at this Northside comment I'll get to here in just a minute. Did CU try too hard to show depth against CU or NDSU? I don't think so. I mean, I think there were a lot of guys. I remember like hearing my post game or my day after that were just like, should all these players that didn't get work get offended? I think we just went with what we knew for the most part, outside of the running back situation, which I feel like we're still trying to figure out. But the edge rotation was like 4 or 5 deep. I think that's what we really expected. Linebacker rotation was small. Secondary rotation small. I like that they weren't substituting as much as we saw last year. I did notice that. And I think that's going to serve the defense better, not substitute. And yeah, no 12 men on the field on defense. We did have one declined on special teams that I think George Hilo will get worked out. But yeah, defense looked a lot better. I think the not doing all that substituting really helped. Arden Walker got pancaked by a 280-pound tackle, Dave. Well, I totally missed that one. But don't let one play take away from. I thought he had some other great plays for us. I mean, he had if I remember correctly, he had a couple stops for us, some nice hurries. But yeah, you never want to see that. You never want to see that. You can't be getting pancaked by Jack Bailey, but a broken clock is right twice a day. Those, even though that North Dakota State is the greatest collection of 5'9" white guys I've ever seen in football in my entire life, they are well coached. So they can punch up above their weight. They earned a little bit more respect from me this week. I loved trolling the FCS team coming up here and playing us. Would I have loved to blow out? Yes, but that's not what we got. Hats off to North Dakota State and that quarterback, Miller. Real impressive. Dang! Dante thinks Arden Walker's bad too. I'm going to stand on this. Guys. I want to see more Arden Walker this week. Wow. I didn't know I was in the minority on this one. Wow. Well, starting Charlie might be a built-in head-scratching decision. Guys, Charlie can get his movie now, Again, I know that some of this is pretty mean to say, but we got issues if he wasn't good enough to earn a scholarship on our 1-11 football team, and he's going to be the guy that's getting the majority of our snaps from the at the running back position this year. As the season goes on, something's up. If Coach Flea can't get these guys coached up to beat out a Charlie Offerdahl, we got some issues. And Coach Flea, you got to go. Coach Flea is still on my hot seat, man, because you're saying, well, these guys don't know how to pass. Well, when are you going to start pointing the finger at yourself for not getting these guys ready? Now, I'm going down a dark rabbit hole. I'm not trying to go dark side Dave too much right now, but I did see some wonderful pass protection pickups from Dallin Hayden. I want to see Dallin Hayden be our primary back, but let's give these guys another shot to see what they can do. Michael Welsh, Isaiah Augustave. Who else we got? I still want to see Draylon Miller get some more running back snaps. He's a dynamic athlete. I think we just need to give him a little bit more time to find a rhythm, find his vision. That's what we got to do. Heck, maybe even Brandon Hood at some point along the line. But you know what you're getting with Charlie. You know he's not going to make mistakes out there, which is good. But you're also, in my opinion, capping your big play upside. Check out how Shiloh graded out. Yeah, against game one. Yeah, he graded out as one of our best players. Exactly, Dante. He's kind of an average football player. That's, he at least runs to the open hole. Hayden sometimes doesn't see the holes. Yes. But I think in order for him to get better at that, I think he just needs more reps. We got to get him into a little bit more of a rhythm. But yeah, Charlie, if people telling you Charlie's trash, no, Charlie's not trash. I like that Charlie's on this team. He's just not the level of athlete that the other guys in the room are. And I think at some point there's going to be a, changing of the guards, so to speak, with how that rotation's going. I'd like to see it sooner rather than later. Dolores Alexander, Houston, truth for barbecue. Yes. Stanford Higgins, what is going on? That's right. Great to see you in here. How you feeling? MJ Houston. See, I knew I started something I shouldn't have when we're talking about all this barbecue stuff in Texas. All right, JJ Stallworth. They need to send Draylon Miller on a wheel route out the backfield. Yes. And I want to see Omari Miller get some more run as well. Why? Well, because when you're pancaking guys out there making noise in the blocking game, like he did in his limited snaps against North Dakota State, you should be rewarded. You should be rewarded with some targets. Like that's how this should go. Just like in basketball, if you're rebounding, if um, if you're playing hard on defense, if you're setting guys up with awesome assists, you should be able to get some plays run for you too. You know what I'm saying? Do the little things right, then eat. I want to see Omari Miller eat. I think NDSU would have given any D1 school a problem. Aside from maybe some of those SEC schools, I can tell you, I agree with you, Jay Reed. It was crazy to see some of the scores that some of those SEC teams put on. Now, I'm curious to see like what North Dakota State would do against Florida State. Florida State fans are already asking for Coach Prime. I think it is so freaking funny. I think it's so funny. Florida State's the best story in college football so far this season. Absolutely right. Again, I don't understand why you don't go after Cam Ward. If I remember the details correctly, I think it was DJU chose Florida State over Miami, and then Miami went and got Cam Ward. Man, you're so lucky, DJU wouldn't want to play for you, Hurricanes fans. Coach Hayes looking good on my bet with him right now with Miami. They look like the real deal, but can they sustain it? We'll just have to see. But DJU, man, I don't understand why this guy was in such high demand. He's looked terrible. Tennis. Colorado lost 50% of its in-state CU content creators. Yeah, that's why I had to throw the degree up here, right? But yeah, I guess it's just Alpine Garage Sports, right? It's just Alpine out there now. That's just a independent YouTuber now. He's the only one left. He's the only one left out there. DMVR doesn't count. They're too mainstream now. They have investors. They're too corporate. They got Toyota and Coors as sponsors now. But yeah, it's just me and Alpine now, I guess. And now just Alpine. Now that I'm gone, but I think I will live back in Colorado here in another chapter in my life. But this is just what I wanted right now, and it's been awesome. It's been great to be around more family. All right, Lockhart is the barbecue capital of Texas. Better off getting good barbecue in Austin, in Dallas, Fort Worth. I have been to some places in Fort Worth. I have been to some of the places in downtown Austin. But where is Lockhart, Texas? Should I know this? No, this state is absolutely huge. Okay, so just east of San Marcos, right in between Austin and San Antonio. I'm going to have to make a pit stop there. No doubt, MJ. Thank you. Dave, the best FCS team last year got run by OK State. Yes. Are we overlooking what happened with that game? No. No. I was just talking with Rawhide about this. Man, I am very nervous about that game at the end of the season against the Oklahoma State Cowboys right now. Not going to lie to you. But on the flip side, much more confident against Texas Tech, baby. So, Oklahoma State, man. Very impressed. But I don't know really what their roster turnover was. Did they have their quarterback still there? I don't know. Maybe you can tell me, JJ Stallworth. But Oklahoma State did what I think we were hoping to do against NDSU. But yeah, great point. I mean, Oregon, is just Bo Nix just that good? Is he just that good? Idaho's a bad team, man. The fact they only beat them by 10. Dan Lanning's such a hypocrite, dude. I hate that guy. Chairman A, thank you so much for the $5 super. Appreciate you as always. Dave, kind of worried, man. Prime saying Shedeur have the last word on play calling today. It's crazy. Charlie Charity is done, man. Start the real dogs, man. You guys crack me up. Number one, wonderfully said comment here. Again, thank you so much for the consistent generosity. Always appreciate sending me a cup of coffee. Now, yes. I'm trying not to make too big of a deal out of anything Coach Prime says in press conferences, because at the end of the day, I take everything that all these coaches say in press conferences my entire life with like a huge grain of salt. But that needs to be worked out to where, I was like doing the math over the weekend. I think if they had even if they were kneeing the ball there, I think they would have punted. They would have had a punt with about 10 seconds left. You could kick that thing out of bounds, and then you're giving North Dakota State one play. And instead, we're giving them 40 seconds or whatever it was. Inexcusable. I don't know. Yeah, that chain of command, if that's not going to change, I have a huge issue with that. But hopefully it does. But I understand, man. Nothing he said in that regard today really gave you confidence that it was. But again, some of the stuff is just mind-blowing things if they repeat. Mind-blowing. I just refuse to believe that this won't be corrected. Surely Shedeur sounded like he learned his lesson too. We just need a guy on the sideline to just tap on coach's ear and say, hey, this is the math. Pat Shurmur wasn't that great of a game manager either when he was head coach of the New York Giants, but this is something that he's got experience with. He's learned a lot by what not to do as well. I think we need to lean on Pat Shurmur a little bit more in some of these game management situations. He's got the most experience on staff when it comes to that. But we just need one graduate assistant or one analyst, somebody that can just do the math right there on the fly on the tablet and say, hey, we can actually win the game if we just do simple math and, do a few running plays. Man. Oh, also, Charlie Charity is done, man. Start the real dogs, man. One, that nickname is hilarious. We can give Charlie his Rudy movie called Charlie, but yes, it's time to move on to giving Dallin Hayden, Michael Welsh, all these guys their due. Yeah, Jay Reed. CU realized they need to score quick, and I think we're in the best spot if we can score quick against Nebraska as well. But Cam Duncan coming in here. I want to say CU beat the best FCS team in the last decade. NDSU had the highest win percentage against FBS teams than any other FCS school by a mile. That's very true. They're the most decorated FCS program of all time. And again, you could argue they were just 10 seconds away from not winning, or from winning, and from CU not winning. Cameron Silman Craig is too small to play D1 safety. Got burned, ran ice, and hurt. It can't just be me that sees this, says Dante. I feel like didn't he only have like 5 plays or something like that? He was one of our better players last year. I still would prefer him in the safety room compared to everybody else. Dante, I just don't want to hear it about Ian Massey. I do not want to hear it about Ian Massey. None of that. Again, this is what CU thinks about Ian Massey. They said, hey, we got 7-8 scholarship spots available. Yeah, you can pay your own way. You can pay that out-of-state tuition. From what I know, he got no money to come here. But who knows? But I just don't get that. And I'm not saying you're doing this, Dante, but I see fans do this all the time where all of a sudden, like, our starters need to be replaced by our walk-ons. What? No. But I think this is a better team with Cameron Silman Craig starting at safety, in my opinion. But guys, let me know in the chat. Is Dante S right? Is he wrong? Mike, I'm gonna be on Corn Craze tomorrow. You better be ready. You better be ready, Mike. The enemy. He's here. He said Colorado lost 75% in-state recruiting. Nebraska even got 2 good ones since Deion. And you're right. You're right. They got a couple of our offensive linemen, if I remember correctly, maybe a tight end or wide receiver. I love the state of Colorado, but let's not act like this is Louisiana, Texas, Georgia, Florida, California. Nah, man. Let's not act like we got Christian McCaffrey's coming at you every year. No. But a decent troll, decent comment, Mike, here that, Nebraska is grabbing guys out of our backyard. And I'm lying to you if I'm telling you that doesn't bother me. Absolutely does. Where did you move, David? San Antonio, Texas. San Antonio. Just a few hours from Mexico. Gonna have to go to Mexico sometime. Good luck, David said. Wow, Mike, you're too generous. You're too generous. All the Cornhusker fans I met here on YouTube have been absolutely class. And this is why we need this thing to go every single year. Aren't you looking so forward to this? I'm sure you're thrilled after Raiola's performance against UTEP. And man, I can't wait. I feel like it's gonna be a prize fight, a money fight. We have 2 great quarterbacks going at it. Can we make Dylan Raiola look like a freshman in some of these moments? We're gonna have to find out. But as Coach Prime said today, he's already played a heck of a lot of football. And man, he looked the part. He looked the part. Can we disrupt his protection? Can we force him to make stressful decisions? Can we put stress on him? That man had no stress on him last weekend, and he tore up UTEP as you would have expected. Ooh. Let's see here. Minister Philly, thank you for chiming in. Always need some more ministers, bishops here. David Talks Buffs chat. Hope CU has a better plan than just passing to Horn, Hunter, Wester, because Tony White just called it out in Nebraska's press conference. I think we are. Again, when you look at what we're running against NDSU on both sides of the ball, I think it was pretty watered down compared to what we have or compared to what we will see. And even some guys that I've talked to on Twitter or in some of the Discords chats that I'm a part of that were able to make like our open practice a few weeks ago, they even said like they saw a handful of different plays, even running plays that weren't used against North Dakota State. So, and even formations. I mean, I still felt like we left a lot on the table against NDSU going into that. But yeah, we can't just play vanilla and think that we're going to beat the Cornhuskers. But that's right. That's right, Kevin Riley. 12-0. That's right. We're 1-0. Can we go 1-0 this week? I think so. 12-0 till we ain't, baby. Nay, good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, thank you, Dolores. Cam is a dog. All right, I'll go here for a few more minutes, guys. But JJ Stahl was saying, I will reserve my judgment until after the 3 games. If this running back room isn't clearly defined and they're not running the ball, then I will be clear in my opinion. Yes. I think this matchup is going to show us all we need to know, honestly, because I feel like Nebraska would be a quality team to play in conference play in the Big 12. It's going to give us a great gauge early on, kind of where we're at. If we're just looking as one-dimensional as we did last year, I think this could be a little bit of, repeating some of the stuff from last year. But I think we're going to look a little bit more dynamic than we looked. And we might even score less. Like, I'm not even necessarily concerned about the final score. It's more about kind of how it looks, right? A little bit more subjective. But I do want to see that get clearly defined soon. That young man was right, Dave. We have to have our best players out there in order to be able to do what we have to do. We cannot go and rely on talent this year like we did last year. This is a great point, old school. Yes, continuity. We had so many of our starters in the secondary coming back outside of a couple corner positions. Travis, Shiloh, Cameron Silman, Craig. Like, man, these guys played so much. They know how to communicate. Yeah, you don't want to force a guy in there like Savion Riley, although I thought he did an admirable job last week. Not expecting to come in there and essentially play as a starter. You want the guys that have the continuity and experience out there. You're right. That gives us the best chance to win. We don't want to be throwing guys out there as they're learning like communicating with these guys, learning a new playbook, all that for the first time, new environment. I think we overlooked what all that change can do for the entire team at once. Yeah, I thought Cam was good at nickel. And Dante says, I really like Riley. Cam got ran over and hurt is what I'm trying to say. I didn't think he got ran over, though. Like, I thought that was just a very hard collision. I didn't look like, to me, it didn't seem like he was getting trucked or anything like that. It was just a very hard collision. So I want to go to say he's weak or anything like that. But I will agree with you, Dante. I think some people saying Riley's trash and all this because, he didn't contain the outside gap on that read option touchdown run. Yeah, like he had some down moments, but he was not getting exposed, play after play after play. And he made some other really solid plays for us in the run game and tackling. It was just a little inconsistent, which is, I think, what you would expect for his first time out there. Jimmy stays focused. He was perfect outside of that drop at the end. Inexcusable. That's typical Jimmy, where he's making the hard, big moment catches, and he just lets the easy ones fall through his hands. I mean, most definitely, we need him to stay locked in. Can we get a perfect game from Jimmy? That's what I want. Let's talk Nuggets. Dude, I have your video open. Thank you for the shout out. Been needing to comment back to you. Guys, go subscribe to Let's Talk Nuggets and message me on Twitter. That way I can give you my number because I would love to just be that dude that you can chat to about how to grow your channel. Again, I had a channel when I was in high school and I gave up on it. That was like 15 years ago. And what are you doing? Lexi's like, that's because people are mean to you. Man, just shut up. I'm not telling you to shut up, but I'm just saying I hear that all the time. Don't let people say that. But I stopped it. And what I'm trying to say is I look back and say, if I had just kept going with it, where would I be now? Where would I be now? So you're going to get there. You're going to get there. Let's Talk Nuggets. Keep at it. We said all we need is a win. I don't care how it happens. It just needs to happen. Absolutely, right? Who cares how it looks? We need that W, baby. Yes, Nebraska Rascal. Be sure to check me out on Corn Craze tomorrow. Gonna be on there previewing the game with Corn Craze. Appreciate it as always. All right, guys. I am going to shut this down. Last comment here on 2. Was Coach Lewis a Judas? No, he was just a terrible fit. Savion Riley coming in, help the defense. The run game is tough on Cam. And again, I think we got a nice safety room. Stoutmire looked good too out there. So, hey, we're gonna need to be disciplined. We weren't getting run over, missing a bunch of tackles last week. That's how it's got to be against Nebraska for us to get this win. Thank you guys so much. I'll be back with more videos tomorrow. Again, my live stream with Corn Craze late tomorrow afternoon And then my show, Buff Blitz, with Russ from Buffs News Weekly, tomorrow at 7 p.m. Mountain. See you guys tomorrow. As always, y'all, go Buffs.